Greetings, stakeholders. My name is John Francisco Brau, and today I will present to you my analysis regarding our allocation project. Before we start, let's do a quick overview of our project's motivation, objective, and scope. The number of people suffering from influenza are increasing in the United States, resulting in more hospitalizations and deaths, particularly those in vulnerable populations, which I'll further discuss later. This project plans to mitigate the spread of influenza by properly allocating staff to more susceptible states. The scope of this project oversees all hospitals in each of the 50 states of the United States. And down below, I listed all my steps that I did for my analysis to achieve our project objective. The first thing that I did was to find which age group is the most vulnerable from the flu. Second, I located which state has the lowest to highest amount of mortality. And third, I determined the time of the year that has the highest amount of deaths. Here is a pie chart that shows influenza deaths from the year 2009 to 2017. And this data is based from the death certificates of US residents, and each death certificate identifies a single underlying cause of death, which is influenza. With the comparison of 64 years and below and 65 years and above, we can see that most of the deaths are from the people 65 years and above, totaling of 380,793, which categorizes them as the vulnerable people. To further emphasize, here is a bar graph that shows that the number of deaths per state are mostly from the vulnerable population. This graph also shows which state has the most and the least amount of deaths, answering which states need more staffing. So if you just scroll down here, you can see all the states and the amount of deaths. With California, that has a highest mortality count of 54,162, and that makes them as our top priority for our allocation project. And District of Columbia has the lowest mortality count of 432, and that makes them our least priority. Going to my next slide, we have here a column chart that shows the amount of deaths for vulnerable people across all the states each month from year 2009 to 2017, and a line chart that shows the total deaths for each region every year. These charts shows that mortality rate amongst vulnerable population increases during influenza season, which starts from November till March. And the graph below also demonstrates which region is mostly affected each month from year 2009 to 2017. So if you just hover your mouse over here, and you can see all the total deaths. And with the South region leading with most influenza deaths among vulnerable population, while West region having the least influenza deaths. So as I conclude my analysis, we have identified the following insights. People ages 65 years and above are the vulnerable population. Also, the state with the highest count of mortality is California, and the lowest is the District of Columbia. We also found out the top 5 states that is in high need of staffs, which are California, Florida, Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania. While the top five states that is low need of staffs are Alaska, BC, Wyoming, Vermont, and North Dakota. And lastly, the influenza deaths peaks throughout December and January. And with that, this leads us to recommendation of sending medical staffs around November, which is prior to the known peak of influenza. And we are going to send them to the states with most vulnerable population, which are California, Florida, Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania. And next are the steps that we are planning to do after we allocated the medical staffs. First, I'm going to find an update on the data set of influenza deaths after 2017. And also, I'll follow up on the recommendations if it is successful. This will allow us to further reevaluate the success of our recommendation and identify possible need for replanning and reintervention within the project. Thank you for listening, and let me know if you have any more questions.